Okay, people. Excellent. All right, let's talk more economics then. So we talked a bit of a brief introduction in the previous video about ceteris paribus, everything else is kept equal, the economic problem, infinite wants, scarce resources, finite resources. And we want to develop models, we want to develop ideas about how things work, and then we want to test them. Okay, excellent. That's not all that we're interested in economics, though, right? We also care about what's right, what's the good thing to do. Should we do this intervention? Is this way of doing things good because it creates good effects? Do we also want to think about like rights, fundamental rights? These things are also relevant. So what we care about is both statements about how the world is and statements about what the world should be. And we call these positive statements about what the world is. It's like, oh, I'm positive that this is true. That's one way of thinking about it. And normative statements, norms, what's correct, what's good. So I might say, hey, if we have taxes of 99.9%, then the economy will not do very well. There won't be a lot of economic activity. That's probably true. That's a positive claim. The normative claim would be, and that's bad. Or even, for a degrowther, that's good. But anyway, so that's the difference in a nutshell. In terms of that. Now, another thing I want to mention as sort of an introduction to Econ on the economic problem is obviously you can get renewable resources. And so renewable resources reduce the scarcity problem. But even then, there tends never to be a completely free lunch. So even if I've got solar panels and they're renewable in the sense that the sun keeps beating down on them and the sun's not going to disappear anytime soon, it's still non-renewable in the sense I'm using fixed resources to get it. And those resources run out. Like solar panels don't last forever. So it's more renewable than other things, but you tend not to get things that are perfectly renewable. So there always tends to be some element of scarcity. Now, the next question is, well, how do we actually think of cost? How do we actually think of scarcity, cost? How much we have to pay to get things on a resource level? Because it's fine in the modern age when we're just individual people and we're buying and selling things and we think the cost is the money that I spend. And we have an intuitive idea of like, hey, I value £10 at whatever I value £10 at. But that doesn't make sense from a sort of broad economic view of what if the value of money changes, or what if we didn't even have money at all, by primitive economies before money? What's going on? Well, we could think of it in terms of opportunity cost, and money forces you to do this as well, because the only reason you value £10 is because, assuming you do value it particularly, but the only reason you would value it is because if you spend it here, you can't spend it there. That money is gone. You've given it away, or you've traded it away, but it's gone. And that's opportunity cost. What's the next best thing that you could have done with that money? That should be how much you value it at. What's the next best thing you could have done with your time? What's the next best thing you could have done with that rock that you've used to build your house or whatever? So at the end of the day, we should think of the cost of doing something as opportunity cost. And there tends to always be an opportunity cost. Even if you found the best thing possible that you could spend your money or your time doing, the opportunity cost is still, well, what's the next best thing that you could have spent it on? Anyway, so that's opportunity cost, and that's also dealing with fundamental scarcity of pretty much everything.